Batman has appeared in dozens of video games, but which game has the best version of Gotham City? Today, I'm comparing Batman Arkham Knight and LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight to find out once and for all. I'm going to be doing this throughout multiple categories to decide which version of Gotham is the best, that being the atmosphere, landmarks, exploration, traversal, and activities. Each category will have its own segments within them, with a point being given to each winner. There'll be 25 segments throughout this, so that'll be a potential max score of 25. So let's go ahead and dive into the first category of this game, the atmosphere. I want to find out, how much does this city feel like Gotham? Starting off with the dark and gritty tone. Now this opening segment might just be a walk in the park for Arkham Knight. I love everything about the look of Gotham in LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, but Arkham Knight really just brings the whole dark gritty tone to it. Granted, I feel like that's easier to do when you're not a LEGO game. So this first point for dark and gritty goes to Arkham Knight. For lighting, however, though, I gotta give it to LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. I love the look of the buildings in this game and how colorful they all are with their LED lights at nighttime. It's just something that I loved a lot, in particular from Matt Reeves' The Batman in 2022. That opening scene, seeing how bright and colorful it is, I feel like this game just brings that a lot. And to be fair, a big part of the city in this game was inspired by the Batman, so it makes sense why the city is going to be all bright and colorful at night. Another big part about Gotham is it's a miserable city, and something that can make a city quite miserable is the weather a city has. Now both LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight and Arkham Knight have great weather for Gotham. It is raining all the time. Now granted, Arkham Knight does take place all in one night, but it is pretty nice that in LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, it's not raining all the time. There's moments where it stops and you can actually see the city looking dry for a little bit and not constantly being soaked and being wet. So for that reason, I'm going to give this weather point to LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. Same goes for the music. While I love the Arkham Knight soundtrack, LEGO Batman has a bit of a cheat code here, being able to use all the great soundtracks made by all these incredible composers throughout Batman's film history. And you may not hear the soundtrack too much while doing stuff throughout both games, but in LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, when you do hear it, you'll feel it. And for the last segment in my atmosphere category, we're talking about the general mood. In Arkham Knight, Gotham feels like Gotham. There's crime happening 24/7. But something I'm just not the biggest fan of is that in all the Arkham games, conveniently, the city gets completely evacuated beforehand. This doesn't fully feel like a city to me. Sometimes it just feels like a playbox because you don't see any citizens just roaming around living out their lives. Whereas LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, you see that. And you still see big bursts of crime and have to chase people down in your Batmobile and stop these big herds of enemies, and you even save civilians from criminals in LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. And I feel like that's just something that is just missing within the Arkham games. Aside from like the little firefighter segments in Arkham Knight, I just think that the general mood of Gotham is better in LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, considering that there's people living their lives, but there's still crimes happening that you need to stop. They do it in a way kind of similar to the Spider-Man games on PlayStation, which I like. Let's move on to our next category, landmarks and visual design. In this category, I'm going to be going over how recognizable and interesting is the city. So let's take a look at the iconic landmarks in both games. First up, we got Wayne Manor and the Batcave. Now this is a walk in the park for LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. In Arkham Knight, you could only see Wayne Manor from the distance aside from one little cutscene at the end. Whereas in LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, there's both two missions where you get to roam around the grounds of Wayne Manor, and don't even get me started on the Batcave in LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. This is arguably the best Batcave we've ever seen, ever. So it's great, and I have to give this point to LEGO Batman. But something I feel Arkham Knight does a lot better at is Wayne Tower. It's awesome just being able to go into Wayne Tower and during the main story, walking into your office, seeing Lucius Fox, and even just being able to walk around the receptionist area. LEGO Batman has a great Wayne Tower as well. It's the tallest building in Gotham, and when you go inside, you could still see Lucius Fox briefly within the story. And you can even see some of the stuff he's working on, like the classic Batmobile from '66. But Wayne Tower is just one of my favorite locations to be at within Arkham Knight, so I gotta give the point to Arkham Knight. Another thing I gotta give to Arkham Knight is the GCPD. In LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, there's many GCPD buildings spread all across Gotham. But the main one I want to look at is the one in Tri Corner that actually has the bat signal on it. This thing looks like it's just trying to be the Arkham GCPD. Arkham Knight's GCPD is perfect. You go in there, you can see trophies of past villains. When you first walk in, you literally see all the henchmen behind bars that you've beat up throughout the game. So the more you play the game, the more henchmen you find. And once you start beating villains in the side content in this game, they'll start showing up within the main cells in this game. So the GCPD point has to easily go to Arkham Knight. As for Arkham Asylum though, if we were talking about the Arkham Asylum game itself, it wins this category at ease, but we're not. We're talking about Arkham Knight. In this game, you can only see Arkham Asylum briefly far off in the distance and you can hardly see it. Granted, in the open world of LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, you can't actually go into Arkham, but you could get a great look at just the size of it. And taking missions into account, you can technically go into it and see some of the inmates, but I kind of wish they did what they did in the GCPD in Arkham Knight here. I kind of wish we got to face off against all of the villains we see behind bars before we actually get to see them in the Arkham Asylum mission. Because the only ones we got to actually face and put behind bars in the story is Condiment King and Black Mask. Our next section here is Ace Chemicals. And I gotta say, for me, this was easily LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. I love the way they did Ace Chemicals in this game. It feels so iconic to so much past Batman media. And just seeing all the acid vats everywhere, this is what Ace Chemicals is all about. It's this freaky, weird place where if you touch those chemicals, you're gonna be pretty messed up. And we got to see that, and I love the Ace Chemicals mission. In Arkham Knight, Ace Chemicals is kind of just this island beside the city, but like it's not. It has like this weird bridge. I think they only did that for the cool Batmobile segment, but I'm just not a big fan of it in this game. So I'm giving the Ace Chemicals segment to LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. As for the Botanical Gardens, however, I think I might have to give it to Arkham Knight. I love the way it looks in LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight and how it has this whole field of just greenery and cool plant life, and even in the mission it just looks incredible. But I gotta say, when Poison Ivy unleashes Mother Nature herself within Gotham City during the Arkham Knight story, and the huge plant is bursting out of the Botanical Gardens, that wins me over. That is what I want to see from a Botanical Gardens. Maybe if we could have seen Poison Ivy's dragon throughout the LEGO Batman one, just near the garden area, or just being on top of the Botanical Gardens, maybe that would have won it over for me. But I gotta give this point to Arkham Knight. But Arkham Knight is actually lacking quite a few locations that I don't know why it's not in the Gotham City. One of those is the Iceberg Lounge. We can only be inside of it when doing fighting challenges, so I easily gotta give this to LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. I love how it's huge, and it's just, you could tell that this is like the criminal underworld's like empire just being formed right here. You could hear the music bursting through it. And due to missions, if I'm giving credit to Arkham Knight's challenges with the Iceberg Lounge, I gotta give credit to the inside of the Iceberg Lounge within the mission of LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. And same goes for the Monarch Theater. You can't find this at all in Arkham Knight. And I think it has a cooler crime alley than LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, but I do appreciate the flower that Bruce Wayne put there for his parents. But just being able to run into this in the city easily gives this point to LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. One thing LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight is missing though is that iconic Oracle Clock Tower. It's just not in the game. So that easily goes to Arkham Knight. I love how you could just slide into it, and it's kind of like your Batcave and base of operations within Arkham Knight. But now looking at the size of the city to round off our landmarks and visual design, this point easily goes to LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. This is the biggest Gotham City we've seen, so it has more room to get a lot of these iconic landmarks. So I'm giving the size point to LEGO Batman. But how fun is this city to simply wander around? Let's get into the exploration side of things. Starting off with hidden secrets. Arkham Knight slam dunks this. Running into details of Bane's old suit, showing that in the lore of the series he's now retired from being Bane to go back to help his homeland, is just incredible. Arkham Knight secures hidden secrets at ease. And I got to say the same for side areas. The city is huge, but it's got so much vertically going on, even going underground, because there's so much hidden areas, like the film studios that is kind of another headquarter for Batman. So Arkham Knight is actually taking both points here for the exploration category. But now let's get into traversal. How fun is it to move around this city? This is like the only gameplay mechanic I'll truly be getting into here, but I think it's an important one to get into. A huge part of Arkham Knight was the reveal of the Batmobile actually being usable in this game. But I gotta say, I prefer the driving of the Batmobiles within Legacy of the Dark Knight. It feels more familiar in how it does in other car games, whereas Arkham Knight, you get ready to step on the brakes and then you pull out your turret, you know? It just doesn't feel as fluid as Legacy of the Dark Knight. So I think I'm going to give the Batmobile point to Legacy of the Dark Knight. But something I just can't even bring myself if I wanted to give to LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight is the gliding. And I love the traversal in LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. I love gliding around and using my grapple hook everywhere. But that is the Arkham game's signature. I gotta give this category to Arkham Knight. I love how fluid it feels just holding A to use your gliding, and then the second you don't, you drop down. Or when you're gliding and you just start aiming down and you can pull yourself back up before you hit the ground. It's just a cool little feature that I love in the game. So I gotta give gliding to Arkham Knight. However, the vehicles category is super interesting. Because once you're done the main story, you're allowed to use a lot more vehicles in Arkham Knight, but those are all held behind DLC. Whereas LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, you have a whole array of vehicles to be able to use in the open world. So I gotta give vehicles to Legacy of the Dark Knight. But now let's get into the juicy stuff, which is the activities and content spread throughout this city. Starting off with side missions, which I gotta say, Arkham Knight clears this. I love how in Arkham Knight, aside from the story, there's a whole bunch of side content about taking down the other criminals of Gotham City. LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight only really has this kind of thing regarding Killer Croc. So the side missions point goes to Arkham Knight. As for crimes though, as I said earlier, Arkham Knight is kind of just a villain-run city. It's not Gotham. There's no true crimes happening. Whereas LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight feels like a more lived-in city with its citizen life. So I gotta give the crimes to LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. When I hear that a crime's happening, I feel more incentivized to go in and save the day because I know that there's an actual citizen being hurt. Whereas Arkham Knight, it's just criminals everywhere. So the crimes category, I'm giving the Legacy of the Dark Knight. As for character unlocks, in Arkham Knight, there's so much ability unlocks for Batman, but that's kinda it. You only really get 4 suits from playing the base game. Whereas LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, there's plenty of unlocks for all the characters in this game and all the main abilities. And there's so much suits for all the characters. So for character unlocks, easy point for LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. Now I wanted to get into vehicle races, and that just isn't fair. Arkham Knight runs away with that completely. LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight has great vehicle races around the city, and while I do prefer using the handling of the Batmobile within LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, those races with the Riddler are incredible, same with the Scarecrow ones. There's just so much great races to do in this game. And as for the challenges in this game, Arkham Knight takes that at ease. I love the gliding challenges in Legacy of the Dark Knight, but the combat challenges just don't really have anything on the rest of the challenges within Arkham Knight, which secures the last point that we're giving out today. Let's reveal our winner. With a final score of 14-11, LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight beats out Arkham Knight for the best Gotham City. Both games have an incredible Gotham City that I like to revisit and traverse around all the time when I'm just having fun. I don't even need stuff to do, I just love traversing around both of them and finding new little hidden secrets. But LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight is the biggest Gotham City we've ever seen in a video game, so it makes sense that it'll have more going for it than Arkham Knight. Like I said though, both are great Gotham cities. And by no means am I saying this is the best Batman game ever. That's a debate for another video. But let me tell you, both of these games nailed the look that I want in a Gotham City. They're kind of just the ideal blueprint for a Gotham City to me. Anyways, comment down below your thoughts on how I broke down what is the best Gotham City in this game, and comment down below your thoughts on what you think the best Gotham City is in video games. Maybe you'll think it's a game like Gotham Knights. Anyways guys, if you sat around this long in the video, thank you so much. I'm Zacy, and I'll see you guys in the next one.